I'm your host, Alex Jones. We're live. We're broadcasting worldwide, simulcasting video at Infowars.com/show. I want to open the phones up today and talk to Texans, but Americans and other people around the world, for that matter, about the handling of Ebola 2014. We saw the video and photo images Friday of workers cleaning up piles of vomit where the Ebola-stricken man in Dallas had been vomiting. He had been in the hospital a week before and given antibiotics for a virus. You don't give antibiotics for a virus. Then it took them a week to think, hey, we better go find the ambulance he was in and scrub it down. And we witness a federal government, when France and England and everybody else, for that matter, over a month ago banned flights out of these stricken African countries on the African West Coast and Central Africa. Here in the United States, they have the head of the CDC running around saying it would make it worse, but giving no evidence to that. And they've got MSNBC headlines, how the NRA is making the Ebola crisis worse. And I've seen headlines about Perry better do a good job with Ebola in Texas or he'll be in political trouble. How is it Rick Perry's job to control the airplanes flying in? That's a federal. And I'm not defending Rick Perry. It's just total smoke and mirrors. Rick Perry better watch it. NRA better watch it. How about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man better watch it? It has nothing to do with any reality. It is the out-of-control, reckless federal government that has opened the borders up. Months ago, 2 months ago, Infowars came out. Drudge came out. Others came out and said, hey, why are the southern borders wide open while this is happening? And now they're saying, yeah, Ebola could come across, but there's no way to control it. So, look, Geraldo Rivera was wrong is the issue. And political correctness has paralyzed this country. And that's what it's designed to do. Last few years, we've seen articles at colleges across the United States and England where they say don't have a Halloween party and don't dress up like a geisha girl or an Eskimo or a cowboy or a Native American or a pirate or anybody, because it's hurtful. And then I was reading an email that a friend sent me from their big yoga studio that they attend, where they were going to have a India-style party. And they said, well, we had complaints that it would be racist if we dressed up like people from India, because obviously yoga is connected to India, and so we're going to shut it down. See, we can't even shut flights down from countries where they're estimating 1.4 to 5 million people will get Ebola by the time it runs its course. They are trying to get out en masse. Other African countries have sealed their borders, but we can't. Because if they can sell us on having open borders during Ebola or during other superbugs, like this enterovirus that's killing kids, then they can do anything. So we're going to come back with all the information covering this, all the latest developments, open the phones up and get your take on it. We're going to be talking about Ebola here today, okay? We don't screen your calls, but sometimes we're on topic, so that's what we're going to be discussing. And also, if you want to cover it, want to talk about it, Army chiefs tell U.S. government, and the Brits are doing as well, stop Gulf states funding terrorism. So our own military is admitting what's really going on here. It's very good news.
What are you waiting for? You've heard what the proprietary Super Male Vitality formulation has done for others. Now it's time to experience the natural benefits for yourself. Pairing ancient herbal extraction techniques with revolutionary technological advances, Super Male Vitality offers the most powerful essence of 8 different ingredients, all individually blended into what makes this product such a unique and concentrated solution. Avoid alarming artificial additives and even hidden genetically modified ingredients that may be lurking in your medicine cabinet. Super Male Vitality is 100% vegan, gluten-free, made in the USA, and available today at InfoWarsLife.com while supplies last. Experience the benefits for yourself and for your family with Super Male Vitality. Available exclusively through InfoWarsLife.com today. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The earth, riches, and wisdom. So we have even right there.
What's his name?
This is an emergency transmission from FEMA Region 6 in occupied North America.
There is a war. It's happening now. It will decide the fate of humanity. The time to choose sides has come. We are the resistance. We are the InfoWar. Thank you for joining us live. It is October 5th, ladies and gentlemen, on this worldwide Sunday edition. I am your host, Alex Jones. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours, as we are every Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. Central. And I'll be back, Lord willing, tomorrow live, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central with the weekday broadcast. We have InfoWars Nightly News, and that, of course, is 7 o'clock Central each and every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock Central at InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv. I want to open the phones up and get your view and your take on Ebola coming to the United States, the epicenter being Dallas, Texas. This being announced, of course, last week. We've had our reporters, Joe Biggs and others, on the ground up there in Dallas. I'm just 3.5 hours by car, 25 minutes by aircraft from Dallas, reporting from Austin. Undoubtedly, if Ebola has spread to other people and has a 22-day incubation period that's expanded from just 3 days to 22 now, 21, 22, then it has spread all up and down I-35, airplanes, you name it. But this is a lot bigger than just Ebola. It shows how the government's claim that it's setting up this giant high-tech surveillance NSA police state grid to keep us safe is not true. It's being put in place to control and fix the markets and to give select intel to private corporations that are anti-free market, insider, crony combines. And we've had former heads of the NSA, like Bill Binney on the show. He was the director of their intelligence operations, to say just exactly what I just stated. This is not an opinion. This is what's going on. Our government has been colonized by special interest. And they have openly said in different North American Union documents, the Banff Canada documents that came out in 2007, that they would use smallpox, the flu, Ebola, to bring in a North American Union and would want it to spread across 3 nations at least, to then have a coordinated response and sell the idea of extra-governmental, global governmental systems fixing a problem because the normal governmental systems, state and federal, failed. And if you look at what's happening, it's failing by design. The Arab countries, the African countries, the UK, France, all in the last month and a half, banned flights out of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and other areas that have epidemic levels, hundreds of thousands of Ebola spreading. UN models are 1.4 to 5 million people getting it, millions dying by the end of the year. I don't know if that's accurate. That's what they're saying. And you've got cases where if someone has drug-resistant TB, they're banned from flying, and if they get caught doing it, they get locked up for years. They get quarantined. We've had medical doctors on to talk about this last week. We've had CDC experts on. Everyone who's worked in hazmat, anyone who's worked in a hospital, you know the rules, you know the law, state, federal, international. There is a default that when you have a serious contagion, a level 4 type contagion that kills a vast majority of those that contract it, that you do not let people come in from those countries. If you go and just look it up, the surrounding African nations in North Africa, Southern Africa, Eastern Africa are heavily screening people at their borders. They have their borders shut down, and they're not accepting flights from major cities out of Sierra Leone and Liberia and 4 other countries. You can look it up. The UK banned flights a month and a half ago out of those countries. They're screening people. If you came here 100 years ago to Ellis Island, you got screened for TB. About 2/3 of the people got turned back at Ellis Island. Now, it's just, come on. The CDC chief has come out and said, quote, we can't shut down the border. Said that on NBC News. We have that video clip coming up. On Wednesday, I called for a petition, and folks did set that up. It's got about 100,000 signatures. Not because Obama does anything with those petitions, but because it draws attention to what's going on and becomes a news item. I also called for calling the White House and Congress and saying the default is for you to control the borders and to control the aircraft coming in here and to block these flights. I called for Rick Perry, and I know you called for Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, to call on Obama to do his job and shut down the flights. Rick Perry, as far as we know, and I've been following it, has not done that. Now, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal did come out on Friday and called on the Obama administration to impose a travel ban on flights to the U.S. from countries with Ebola outbreaks. We should stop accepting flights from countries that are Ebola-stricken, the Republican governor said in a statement. And he went on from there. The media, the AP and others are saying this is a test of Perry's leadership. If he doesn't get it under control, it's the feds that are supposed to blockade aircraft coming in from outside the nation. That is a federal prerogative, a federal jurisdiction. Rick Perry, his only job is to demand the CDC do its job and demand state agencies try to contain it as well, but to put pressure on the president and the federal government to not open us up to this. So, on Wednesday, when we had our reporters there at the press conference, we tried to push the governor to do that. He hasn't done that. It's a common sense default thing to do. Rick Perry didn't do it. Bobby Jindal did do it. And again, CDC director, travel ban could make Ebola outbreak worse. They've sent more, thousands of more U.S. troops. Total of 5,000 now have gone into Africa. And they spin this like, well, if we have a travel ban, that will stop our response to it, trying to, quote, fix it. They can't even clean up vomit off the street where this Ebola patient was running around throwing up. Our hospitals are so screwed up that when he went in a week before vomiting and sick, they gave him antibiotics and said he had a virus. Antibiotics don't affect viruses. They didn't even clean for a week the ambulance. For 5 days, the ambulance he'd been in. They're not cleaning his apartment. They're not doing anything, folks. They're not quarantining his family or people that were around him and knew him because they obviously wanted to spread. They've never allowed, and it's federal law, someone with a super deadly disease like Ebola to come into the U.S. They've brought more than 20 Ebola patients in. They're now bringing more in. This guy flew in from an West African country on an aircraft. Are they checking the plane manifest? Are they going